Plymouth at just 2 degrees Celsius this morning, colder than Aberdeen. Yes, you heard that correctly. The southwest sitting at freezing while Scotland enjoys relatively mild conditions. Is your area about to face the most dramatic temperature swing we've seen this winter? Right now, the Met Office has yellow warnings active across 17 counties, affecting over 12 million people. Rain, wind, and yes, potentially snow for some. I'm going to tell you exactly when this arrives for your specific location, which areas face the worst of it, and crucially, why tomorrow's forecast update could change everything. But first, drop your city or county in the comments right now, because I'll be going through those tomorrow morning with personalized forecasts for each of you. London, you are looking at 9 degrees today, dropping to 5 by Wednesday evening. Manchester, 8 degrees currently, but here's where it gets interesting. You could see sleet by Thursday morning. Birmingham sits at 7 degrees, with rain turning heavier through Wednesday night. Glasgow, surprisingly mild at 11 degrees, though that one T last. Cardiff, 10 degrees today, rain persisting through the week. Belfast, you are at 9 degrees with blustery showers continuing. The current situation is this. We've had 3 weeks of relentless Atlantic systems battering the UK. Southern England has seen rain on 21 of the last 22 days. The ground is saturated, rivers are running high, and now we are looking at another substantial system moving in from the west. But there's something developing behind this that the models are disagreeing about quite significantly, and that disagreement matters enormously for what happens from Friday onwards. Let me show you what is happening with the jet stream. Currently, we've got this powerful southwesterly flow, bringing mild air and moisture straight off the Atlantic. Wind speeds at jet stream level are running at over 200 kilometers per hour. That is keeping everything mild but unsettled. However, the Met Office model is showing a weakening of this pattern by the weekend, whilst the European model suggests it continues. This 50-mile difference in the track of low pressure changes everything for Kent, Sussex, Hampshire, and the southeast. Generally, I'll have much clearer data on this tomorrow morning after the overnight model runs. Now, for those of you in the northeast, Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, you are in a rather unusual position. Your temperatures today sit around 6 degrees, but you are actually going to see a slight rise midweek before things potentially turn much colder. The reason is the position of the low pressure. As it tracks across Scotland, you will be in the warmer sector briefly. Hartlepool, Darlington, Durham, expect temperatures around 8 or 9 degrees Wednesday afternoon. Scotland, let's talk about your forecast in detail because you're going to see the most dramatic changes. Edinburgh currently at 10 degrees, Glasgow at 11 as I mentioned, but Aberdeen, Inverness, you're already noticing the cooler air filtering in from the north. 6 degrees in Inverness this morning. The Highlands have seen snow on higher ground for weeks now, above 600 metres consistently. That snow level could drop to 400 metres by Thursday night, possibly 300 metres by Friday morning. Fort William, Aviemore, the Cairngorms, you are looking at accumulations. The Scottish ski centres will be pleased. Wait until you see what the models are suggesting for next week. I will come to that in a moment, but there's one detail that concerns me most, and it involves a secondary low-pressure system that could develop quite rapidly. More on that shortly. The southwest, let S address your situation. Plymouth, Exeter, Torquay, you've been absolutely hammered by rain. Some areas have recorded over 150 millimetres this month already, and we are only on the 3rd of February. The ground simply cannot take much more. The Environment Agency has flood warnings active across Devon and Cornwall. Penzance, Falmouth, Truro, do remain vigilant through Wednesday and Thursday. The heaviest rain arrives Wednesday evening around 7 o'clock, persisting through the night. By Thursday morning, we should see some improvement, but showers will continue. The Midlands, you are caught between 2 zones here. Leicester, Nottingham, Derby, you are looking at persistent rain through Wednesday. Temperatures holding around 7 or 8 degrees. But here, what nobody is talking about. If that low pressure tracks slightly further south than the Met Office model suggests, you could see that rain turned to sleet on Thursday morning, particularly on higher ground. The Peak District, anywhere above 300 metres, watch for this possibility. I know this isn't ideal for commuters, particularly with the road network already struggling with surface water. Actually, let me just clarify that. When I say sleet, I am talking about a mix of rain and snow, not settling snow. The ground temperatures are too high for significant accumulation at lower levels, but elevated areas, that's a different story. Bristol, Bath, Gloucester, the Severn Valley. You are looking at a fairly typical unsettled week. Rain Wednesday, heavy at times, easing Thursday. Temperatures around 8 or 9 degrees. The Severn Bore will be particularly impressive this week with the high river levels. Worcester, Tewkesbury, keep an eye on the usual flood-prone areas. East Anglia, your forecast is rather complicated. Norwich, Ipswich, Cambridge, the current model runs show you escaping the worst of Wednesday as rain. You'll see showers, yes, but nothing like what the west will experience. Temperatures around 7 degrees. However, and this is important, if we do see that pattern shift I mentioned earlier, you become much more exposed to colder air from the east by the weekend. That S still uncertain, but it is something we are monitoring closely. Wales, you deserve particular attention because you are going to bear the brunt of this. Swansea, you are looking at gale force winds Wednesday night, gusting to 80 kilometres per hour, possibly 90 on exposed coasts. The Gower Peninsula will see the strongest winds. Bangor, Caernarfon, North Wales, similar story but slightly later. Early hours Thursday morning. Snowdonia will see snow above 600 metres, possibly lower on the peaks. Wrexham, you are in a transitional zone. Rain turning to sleet is possible Thursday morning. The A55 could see some tricky conditions. Northern Ireland, Belfast, you've got blustery showers continuing all week. Temperatures around 8 or 9 degrees. Derry, Newry, Armagh, similar conditions. The Mourne Mountains will see snow on the peaks. Unfortunately, there's no significant improvement until the weekend, and even that S not guaranteed. The Irish Sea is particularly rough at the moment. Ferry services are likely to face disruptions. Yorkshire, let's break you down by area. Leeds, Bradford, you are at 7 degrees today. Rain developing Wednesday afternoon. Sheffield, sitting in the Pennine foothills, you could see sleet mixing in Thursday morning above 250 metres. York, Harrogate, slightly milder in the Vale of York, around 8 degrees, but rain persisting through Wednesday and Thursday. Scarborough, Hull, the east coast, you recooler at 6 degrees with a cold wind off the North Sea, making it feel more like 3 or 4. Lancashire, Liverpool, you are at 8 degrees currently. Manchester, as I mentioned earlier, 7 degrees, but dropping. Blackpool, Preston, Lancaster, expect strong winds Wednesday night. Coastal areas seeing gusts to 70 kilometres per hour. The Irish Sea will be rough. Morecambe Bay will see high tides combining with the wind and rain. The Lake District, Kendal, Windermere, Keswick, rain turning to snow above 500 metres Thursday. The fells will be treacherous, but here's where it gets interesting. The GFS model, that S, the American model, is showing something quite different for next week. It S suggesting high pressure building from the east, potentially bringing much colder continental air across the UK. The Met Office model isn't fully convinced yet. The European model, ECMWF, is somewhere in between. This uncertainty this far out is completely normal. We re-still 7 days from next Tuesday. Models wobble considerably at this range. However, there are signals worth watching. The one location that could see something unexpected is actually the southeast. If that easterly flow does develop, places like Dover, Canterbury, Margate, you could see a dramatic temperature drop next week, possibly down to 1 or 2 degrees, with an easterly wind making it feel significantly colder. That S a big if, though. Tomorrow S model runs will be crucial. For those of you asking about snow, proper snow, settling snow, here S the honest answer. This week, Scotland above 400 metres, yes. Peak districts, Pennines, Welsh Mountains above 300 to 400 metres possibly. Everywhere else, no, not this week. Next week, there is a possibility if that easterly flow develops, but it is genuinely too early to say with any confidence. Anyone telling you definitively what S happening next week is overstepping what the data actually shows. Southampton, Portsmouth, Brighton, the south coast generally, you are looking at rain Wednesday, clearing Thursday. Temperatures around 9 or 10 degrees. The English Channel will be rough midweek. Dover, the ferries will likely face delays. The Isle of Wight, Ventnor, Ryde, Newport expect persistent rain Wednesday, winds gusting to 60 kilometres per hour on exposed southern coasts. Oxford, Reading, the Thames Valley, you are at 8 degrees currently. Rain Wednesday afternoon and evening. The Thames is running high. Windsor, Henley, Marlow, the usual riverside areas are already close to flood stage. Another 30 to 40 millimetres of rain Wednesday could cause localised flooding. Do check back tomorrow because I'll have the latest model data, and more importantly, I'll be going through your specific locations from the comments. I genuinely want to help you plan your week, whether that S, travel, outdoor work, or just knowing whether to grab the umbrella or the winter coat. Let me address something I've seen in comments recently. The frustration about forecast changes, I understand completely. Weather forecasting isn't like airline scheduling. The atmosphere is a chaotic system. Small changes in pressure, temperature, or wind at one location ripple across entire continents. When I show you model outputs, I am showing you the best information available at that moment. By tomorrow, new data comes in, satellite observations, weather balloon readings, ocean temperature measurements. The models ingest this and refine their predictions. That S, not me changing my mind. That S, the science evolving as we get closer to the event. The north of England, Cumbria, you are looking at substantial rainfall Wednesday into Thursday. Carlisle, Penrith, Workington remain alert near rivers. Northumberland, Alnwick, Berwick, you are cooler at 5 or 6 degrees with heavy showers. Coming back to that model disagreement. The Met Office Unified Model is placing Friday S low pressure further north, tracking across central Scotland. That keeps England and Wales relatively mild, around 7 to 9 degrees, with showers. The European model tracks it further south, across northern England. That S colder, potentially 4 to 6 degrees, with a better chance of sleet or wet snow on higher ground. The difference is about 100 miles in the track. That might not sound like much, but it is the difference between rain in Manchester or snow on the Pennines. The ensemble forecasts show a spread of outcomes. Some members show mild and wet continuing, some show much colder air arriving. That S meteorology, being honest with you, we done to have perfect certainty beyond 3 or 4 days. If there's one thing to take away from this forecast, it's that this week is wet and windy for most, potentially turning colder by the weekend, with next week genuinely uncertain. The pattern we've been stuck in for 3 weeks is showing signs of breaking down, whether it breaks down into something colder or just shifts to a different variant of mild and unsettled. That S, what we'll clarify over the coming days. The Channel Islands, Jersey, Guernsey, you are at 11 degrees, quite mild, but strong winds Wednesday gusting to 90 kilometers per hour. Rough seas. The Hebrides, Lewis, Harris, Skye, you are seeing the wildest weather today. Gale force winds, heavy showers, some of sleet and snow. Orkney and Shetland, similar conditions, very unsettled, winds gusting over 100 kilometers per hour on exposed headlands. Rather unusually, we are seeing this temperature inversion where the far north is milder than the south. That is the warm sector of the low pressure. As the low moves east, that flips. By Thursday, Scotland turns colder, England and Wales temporarily milder, then everything shifts again Friday and Saturday. For urban areas, London S transport network is coping with the rain, but will struggle if we see any sleet or ice next week. Manchester S trams and Birmingham S Ring Road are already under stress. Check before travelling if heavy rain arrives Wednesday evening. The final point on model uncertainty. Some people have mentioned the ensemble prediction system suggesting easterly flow from next Tuesday. That's one set of ensemble members, yes. Others show continued westerlies. When ensembles disagree this much, it means we are in a genuinely uncertain pattern. The atmosphere is balanced between different possible outcomes. Small changes tip it one way or another. By tomorrow, we'll have newer data. By Thursday, clearer still. By Friday, we should know with reasonable confidence what next week looks like. Right then, let's recap briefly before I tell you what to watch for tomorrow. This week, wet and windy for most, particularly Wednesday and Thursday. Scotland sees snow on the mountains. Temperatures generally 6 to 10 degrees, milder in the south, cooler in the north and east. The weekend brings a potential pattern change, possibly colder, possibly just a shift to a different unsettled regime. Next week remains genuinely uncertain with some possibility of colder easterly flow developing. Now, tomorrow S update. Here is specifically what I'll be covering. The overnight model runs will have processed by 6 a.m. I'll have the latest from the Met Office, ECMWF, and GFS. I'll show you exactly how Friday and Saturday S forecast has evolved. More importantly, I'll have a much better handle on next week. Is that easterly flow real? Does it bring snow, or does the Atlantic maintain control? I'll also be going through all your comments, giving specific forecasts for your towns and cities. That is a promise. One more thing I should mention, there's an interesting signal in the jet stream for mid to late February that could bring colder spells. It is too far out to forecast yet, but worth watching. Please do leave your location in the comments. It helps me tailor tomorrow's S forecast to what you want to know. I read every comment. Your feedback shapes these forecasts. Tomorrow's video will be live at 9 a.m. I'll have all the latest data, your personalized forecasts, and hopefully clarity on this messy pattern. Rather than pretend I have all the answers 7 days out, I'd rather be honest about the uncertainty and work through it with you day by day. Thank you for watching and commenting. Weather affects all of us every single day. Getting it right matters. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. with the latest. Stay safe out there, particularly if you are in the areas expecting the worst of Wednesday's weather. I'll